Hello, it's Laura Morley here from Toddler Talk, helping you to enjoy the parenting journey with your toddler. And today, you know what day it is? It is Q&A Tuesday, and I want to thank you so much for joining me because this is one of my favorite times of the week where I get to answer some viewer questions. And today we have a question from a lady in Auckland, and it reads, "Hi Laura, I'm really enjoying all the stuff that you're putting on Facebook and I want to thank you so much for the help you've already given me. I've just got a quick question about my 2-year-old boy who honestly drives me crazy with not listening to instructions. In the end of the day, when I've had days and hours of this, all I end up doing is yelling at him. And I'm just wondering if you've got any ideas for how you can help me to stop yelling and to get him to do as he's told." Great question. We all have toddlers who don't do as they're told and don't listen, and I know this is going to apply to heaps and heaps of our viewers, so thank you so much for asking the question. And there are lots and lots of things that you can do that really are going to help you to communicate better with your son. The first thing is be specific and be direct. So don't ask your child a question if you just want them to do something. Use a statement or a command instead of asking a question. So let me give you an example. If your child needs to go and hop in the car and they need to put their shoes on and put their jacket on and they need to go and hop in the car, there's no point saying to them, "Would you like to hop in the car?" Because sometimes they're going to say, "Yes, I would," and sometimes they're going to say, "No, I wouldn't." And really, you're not interested whether they actually want to hop in the car or not. You just need them to do it. So be specific and be direct and say, "Come on, it's time to hop in the car now. We're heading off to kindy." And be really clear about what it is that you need them to do. "Let's go and find your shoes because we need to put those on before we go." Remember to not give them too many instructions at a time. Most kids of this age can only really cope with 2 things to remember. Some of them only 1 thing to remember, and they often don't remember things in order. So keep it really simple and easy for them by just giving them 1 instruction at a time. Something I found really useful is to get them to come to you or you go to them so that there's a proximity. There is somewhere where you are at their level and you get down to their level physically and you look in their eyes and you say, "I need you to go and put your shoes on." There's real power in actually coming closer to somebody. Instead of yelling across the room or yelling along the hallway and say, "Come on, let's hop in the car, put your shoes on." Really, if you want to dial down the volume in your house and you want to keep it a lot more calm, then you need to get them to come to you and give them 1 instruction. I often found this when I was in the classroom. If I would just rabbit on and say, "Okay, everybody, we're going to do this, this, that, and that," you'd lose half the children because half of them weren't listening, the other half didn't know what you were talking about, and it just got really frustrating. You just end up yelling at them across the classroom, "Go and put your shoes on," and the whole volume goes up and up and up. So if you want to dial that down in your family, you need to have your child come to you or you go to them, get down to their level and say to them, "I need you to go and do this," and be really specific about it. The whisper voice works so beautifully. So if you really want to, you can like tell them a secret, like, "We're going to go and hop in the car. We just have to put our shoes on." And the child will really, really listen to that and zone into you if you've got a quiet, calmer voice. So the other thing to do is to make sure that before you give them instructions, that you actually get their attention. Prime example is when I go and stay with my in-laws or with my parents, and they might be in the lounge and everyone's kind of got the TV blaring and the cooking's going on in the kitchen and we're going to have dinner, and someone will say, "Right, kids, can you go and set the table?" And the kids just all kind of sit there and keep doing what they're doing. And then you end up yelling at them going, "Kids, go and set the table." And they're like, "What? Why are you yelling at me?" And we're like, "Well, because you didn't do it the first time." And they say, "Well, I didn't hear you." And often that happens with our toddlers as well. They are so engaged in play that they actually don't hear you half the time. And there is a difference between hearing and listening. I had this great music teacher. Her name was Mrs. B, and she was my Form 3 music teacher. And I remember her sharing this really great picture of the difference between hearing and listening. And she said, when you have a kid and they're playing with a ball outside on the lawn and they've lost their ball and they're going under the branches to go and try and get it because they've kicked it away, and they hear their mum going, "It's dinner time," but all they're doing is hearing it as peripheral noise, but they're not actually engaging and listening to what that parent is saying. And I remember Mrs. B saying to me, there is a difference, Laura, between listening and hearing. That child might hear that their mother is calling it's dinner time. And it's not until they actually listen and engage and use that active listening where they'll actually take it in and actually go and do what they're supposed to do. And I think it's really important nowadays when we've got TVs and iPads and music and all these other distractions in our toddlers' little world, quite often they're not really hearing what you're saying. So getting their attention is really key if you want them to follow instructions. So you might actually use their name and say, right, Johnny, I want you to come over here so I can explain to you what we need to do. It might be that you sing a song. So in my class, I used to go, are you listening? And my kids would go, we are listening. And so you actually use music. And so sometimes with my kids, I'll sing and say, go and get your book bag. And they'll be like, oh, I'm getting my book bag, because they've got to put it into their bag. So a song is a great way of getting their attention. Another thing you can do is just give them physical touch, like actually hold onto their shoulder or something and say, right, I want you to listen to me. And I've seen other parents actually hold their kid's chin just to bring their kid to eye level and say, I want you to listen to mummy because I've got something important to say. And, you know, get their kid to actually give them eye contact when they're giving an instruction. So all of these ideas are going to help you. The first thing is that you want to be specific and direct. You want to give one instruction at a time. The third thing is get down to their level. And the fourth thing is to get their attention. I just know if you use those four things that you're going to stop yelling in your day because your whole volume will be down. You won't have to shout over your children because they will actually hear you better because you're communicating in a more effective way. And I would absolutely love to hear what works for you. So don't forget to leave a comment below, and don't forget to ask me a question, because it might be that Q&A Tuesday we choose your question to answer next. Don't forget to enjoy the parenting journey with your toddler, and I can't wait to hear from you. Bye.